by mechanism, why those ancient healers were right. We are not rediscovering folklore, we are reading the chemistry underneath it. There is also a bigger thread running through everything on this channel, and honey is the perfect doorway into it. The further a food gets from its living, whole form, the more it tends to work against your body, and the closer it stays to that form, the more it tends to work with you. Honey is the cleanest possible illustration, because the very same substance, depending only on whether it has been heated and stripped, can be either a healing medicine or just another spoon of sugar. The processing is the entire difference. Number 4 is the reason a spoonful before bed can do what a melatonin pill cannot, and it has nothing to do with the sugar and everything to do with a hormone most people have never connected to honey. Wait for number 6, because it explains why honey can sit on a shelf for 3,000 years without spoiling, and why that same property is what makes it a wound dressing hospitals still reach for today. If you want more of the real science behind the food and plants that actually change how you feel, subscribe and come along, because this channel is built for exactly that kind of curiosity. And a quick tap on the like button tells the algorithm this knowledge is worth showing to the next person searching for a way out of the supplement aisle. Number 1. Antifungal power, the Candida killer. Candida is a yeast that lives in everyone, quietly and harmlessly, until the balance tips. Too much sugar, a course of antibiotics, chronic stress, and that yeast can bloom into an overgrowth that drives bloating, sugar cravings, brain fog, and a stubborn coating on the tongue. The strange and counterintuitive truth is that raw honey, a sweet food, is one of the natural compounds best documented for pushing that yeast back into balance. The reason is an enzyme the bees themselves add to the nectar, called glucose oxidase. When raw honey meets moisture in your body, that enzyme slowly releases tiny, steady amounts of hydrogen peroxide, not the harsh kind in a brown bottle under your sink, but a low, continuous trickle that yeast and harmful bacteria cannot tolerate, while your beneficial microbes are largely unbothered. Heat destroys this enzyme completely, which is the first reason supermarket honey does nothing here. There is a second weapon, a peptide called B-defensin-1, part of the bee's own immune system that carries straight into the honey. It punches holes in fungal cell walls. Between the slow peroxide release and this defensin, raw honey creates an environment where Candida simply cannot hold its territory. Researchers have watched this happen in the lab against the exact strains that cause human overgrowth. Here is the part that confuses people. If Candida feeds on sugar, how can a sugar fight it? The answer is that raw honey is not just sugar. Its antifungal compounds act faster and more directly than the small amount of glucose it provides, and its specific sugar structure is harder for yeast to exploit than the refined glucose and fructose in processed food. You are not feeding the fire. You are bringing a different chemistry to the table entirely. The lab evidence here is more solid than most people expect. Researchers have repeatedly placed raw honey against cultures of Candida albicans, the strain behind most human overgrowth, and watched it slow and halt that growth. Manuka honey and other potent raw varieties have shown the ability to disrupt the protective films that yeast colonies build around themselves, the same films that make stubborn overgrowth so hard to clear. When honey is heated and filtered into supermarket syrup, that activity collapses, which tells you the effect lies in the living compounds, not the sugar. Picture how Candida overgrowth actually shows up in a real life. It is rarely dramatic. It is the afternoon bloat that has no obvious cause, the sugar craving that feels almost physical, the film on the tongue in the morning, the low fog that you blame on poor sleep. Yeast thrives on the refined sugar in a processed diet, which is why these symptoms so often travel together. Swapping that refined sugar for a small daily dose of raw honey, changes the terrain underneath the problem rather than just chasing the symptoms. To use honey against candida, take a single teaspoon of genuinely raw honey on an empty stomach, ideally first thing in the morning, and let it coat your mouth and throat before you swallow. Do not stir it into boiling tea. Do not bake with it. Do not drown it in anything hot. The enzymes that do the work are fragile, and the moment you cook them, you are left with expensive syrup. Start small and consistent rather than large and occasional. 1 teaspoon a day, every day, does far more than a tablespoon once a week. If you are new to this, that single morning spoonful is your entire starting protocol, and it is enough to begin shifting the balance within the first couple of weeks. Number 2, gut lining repair, sealing the leaks. The wall of your gut is a single cell thick in places, a delicate barrier that is supposed to let nutrients through while keeping everything else out. When that barrier becomes inflamed and permeable, what doctors casually call a leaky gut, undigested particles and toxins slip into the bloodstream, and your immune system stays locked in a low, exhausting state of alarm. Raw honey helps on 2 fronts at once. Its anti-inflammatory compounds, particularly a group of plant-derived antioxidants called flavonoids that the bees carry in from flowers, calm the irritation in that lining. At the same time, its antibacterial action reduces the harmful overgrowth that keeps the barrier inflamed in the first place. Less fire and fewer things feeding the fire. There is older wisdom here that the science is now catching up to. Honey has been used to soothe digestive complaints for thousands of years across nearly every culture that kept bees. We now understand part of why. It is not coating the gut like a bandage, so much as changing the conditions inside it, lowering inflammation, and shifting the microbial balance toward repair. Consider what actually drives a leaky gut in the first place. Chronic stress, a diet heavy in refined sugar and processed oils, repeated rounds of antibiotics, too much alcohol. Each of these inflames the lining and feeds the wrong microbes, and the damaged barrier then keeps the immune system on permanent alert, which itself produces more inflammation. It is a loop. Raw honey works because it pushes on more than one point of that loop at the same time, calming the inflammation while crowding out the microbes that perpetuate it. Studies on honey and the digestive tract have shown it can help protect the stomach and gut lining and support a healthier balance of bacteria, and some research points to honey easing the kind of irritation involved in reflux and gastritis. As always, I will be honest that this is a developing field rather than a closed case, but the direction of the evidence is consistent, and it lines up neatly with the thousands of years of traditional use. That combination is worth paying attention to. The deeper mechanism is something we will return to in the next chapter because raw honey contains special sugars that are not for you at all. They pass through your small intestine undigested and arrive in your large intestine as food for the exact bacteria that produce the compounds your gut wall needs to rebuild itself. The gut does not heal in isolation. It heals when its microbes are fed. For gut support, you can take honey in slightly warm water or tea, but the key word is warm, never hot. If you can comfortably hold your finger in the liquid, it is cool enough to protect the honey. Take it between meals rather than with a large meal, so it reaches the gut wall without competing with everything else you have eaten. Give this one time. The gut lining renews itself over a matter of weeks, not days, which is exactly why a 30-day window is the right frame for honey. The people who give up after 3 days never see the change. The people who make it a quiet daily habit are the ones who notice, somewhere in week 3, that the bloating and the discomfort have simply faded into the background. Number 3, sleep and cortisol, the bedtime spoonful. This is the use that surprises people the most because it sounds backwards. Eat something sweet right before bed to sleep better? but the logic of it is precise, and it has to do with how your brain is fueled overnight and how the stress hormone cortisol behaves while you sleep. While you sleep,